Hey, good morning. Welcome to the Stochastic.com NBA strategy show presented by Bet365. Best promo in the country, baby, but only if you're in 4 states. I'll tell you later how to take advantage of that. But first, happy to have you guys with us. 5-game Thursday. Everyone for Cleveland is out. Portland's got 14 guys on the injury report. San Antonio not far behind. Going to be a fun one today. We'll wait and see what happens with the Denver Nuggets as well. I'm Dave Loughran at Lafayette_D on the Twitters, joined by Adam Scherer at Ship My Money DFS. What's happening, man?
I am very ready for the regular season to end and for the postseason to start.
Postseason's going to be fun.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't, like Josh and I talked about it yesterday, I don't actually care about the postseason, but at least it's not the regular season.
Well, postseason, like betting in DFS is fun, though. Like the first couple rounds the first round, really, I thoroughly enjoyed.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm also just like, but once baseball starts, I'm just like over it with the NBA. So like, I don't care that much about the postseason.
Well, we're still talking about it today, and we're happy to have you guys with us. Hit that thumbs up if you haven't done so yet. You know, you walk in the door, you take a single second, you atone for your sins. You bow down before the YouTube overlords. You guys understand the drill here. I'll continue to wear that line out until we start just getting, if there's 200 people in here to start, 200 people liking the video out of the gate, then I'll shut my mouth for good. But until then, hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. And if you're listening in podcast form, we know you're out there. We appreciate you. You don't have to look at us, but you can still hear us. Leave a rating, review, subscribe to the pod. Tell your friends about the show. All that good stuff. Appreciate you. Up front, time to talk some basketball. 5 games today. 5 games today. No. Yeah, SMP. When I say fun, I mean total shit show. Just so we're clear. Yeah, it's out of control. But you know what? We got the tools. We got ownership. We got the boom bust tool. We got projections. We got all of that stuff. We should have a decent idea of what some of these teams are going to do. But did we kick it off with Cleveland today? 8-point dogs almost doesn't seem enough against Orlando, unless it's moved since I made the run sheet. 219.5-point total. For those of you guys who have yet to look at the injury report, I will throw it out there for you. Here we go. Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, Darius Garland, Jared Allen, Karis LeVert, Isaac Okoro, all of them are out today. So the most expensive player on DraftKings that's available, Adam, $3,800 Dean Wade is the highest priced Cav that's going to see action today. Is that amazing or what?
Yeah, it's insane. And I mean, I don't even know like what the starting lineup's going to look like for this team, because obviously we don't have any sort of sample on this. So yeah, this is like peak April. Like we've had plenty of slates with value recently, but now we're getting into where it's just like we have entire teams of guys sub 4K that are going to play minutes.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at Cleveland, and here's the best question, Daryl Alexander, we'll get to that. How many Cleveland guys do we play? Is what he asked. Now, the problem is that all these guys stink, but let's take Ricky Rubio, for example, right? How many minutes do we get from Rubio, who is, he's not a fantasy point per minute guy, but he's a fantasy point per minute guy tonight. I mean, with everybody out there, like I would expect, like in the event that Rubio comes out there and plays big minutes, that he would see a lot of opportunities here, and that you're not contending with any, like, usually when he's on the floor, it's at least one of Mitchell or Garland out there, or LeVert or somebody. But like, if Rubio starts this game, let's just say he does, and he plays 30 minutes, what do we expect from him? He's $3,100.
Yeah, I mean, if he plays that many minutes, do you expect a great game from him? He's played 134 minutes without either one of Mitchell or Garland this year. He's been just north of a fantasy point per minute. My big question with Rubio is, how many minutes does he play? Because it's not like this guy's young. It's not like the Cavs have any reason to like run him into the ground in this random game. But at 3,100, if he plays any normal amount of minutes, he's going to look like a really good value. So
even 25 minutes, though.
Right, exactly. So like he's one guy where if he's starting, I can at least feel relatively good about his playing time. If he's coming off the bench, you do run the risk that they still just play him like 22 minutes or something. But even if they did that, he's going to look fine. And if he starts, I assume he's at least playing 25, 26. So yeah, he's going to look really good. Ownership certainly warranted there. Chetty at 3,400, I almost feel better about, just because he's another solid point per minute guy without Mitchell or Garland. He's at 0.89 DraftKings points per minute. That's likely to come up as you also take off Mobley and LeVert, but you just get no sample size if you do that. But he's somebody that I would expect the Cavs to not be as cautious with as Rubio either. So I feel actually a little bit better about Chetty just because I fully expect the minutes to be there for him. But both of those guys look really good. You have Howell Neto at 3K flat. He's played 302 minutes without Garland or Mitchell, 0.78 DraftKings points per minute. Diakite's 3K flat with power forward eligibility. There should be plenty of minutes available for him. Lamar Stevens is 3,700. He sucks no matter what, but there's going to be minutes there. He's played 164 minutes without Mitchell and Garland. Still only a 14% usage rate, 0.62 DraftKings points per minute. But, again, keep in mind, no LeVert, no Mobley either. So, yeah, I mean, this team across the board is just going to look very good. We'll have a better idea of exactly who once you get starters, but there's clearly a lot of value here. As far as how many from a team to play,
17.
17 what?
Play 17 of these guys.
Oh, yeah, exactly. But I mean, the only thing holding it back is like there is a lot of value on other teams as well. But these guys are all just so cheap that, I would think, and it's only a 5-game slate, at 3 or 4, I would have no issue with it all.
Is there that much value on other teams though? Let me explain. Like Portland, there's still a lot of guys out, but so many of those guys have been out for a while now. This is essentially like uncharted territory with Cleveland, where you're getting this hasn't been touched. You know what I mean? This is one of those spots that like it's brand new and everybody's minimum salary.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like you have other teams that are shorthanded, but the prices have adjusted. Looking at DraftKings projections, if you just sort by value, the top 6 guys are from Cleveland, the number 8 guy is from Cleveland, and the number 10 guy is from Cleveland. So 8 of the top 10 point per dollar values on this slate right now on DraftKings are from Cleveland.
Virgin soil is what I was looking for. Virgin land, untouched. Even Jordan looks at me weird when I say it. Everything has to be sexual with you, man. Jeez. Do you when you hear Virgin Airlines, do you recoil? Jeepers creepers, guy. Get it together. But okay, without cheat, have you looked at the boom bust tool yet?
I mean, I have it in front of me.
Okay. Then I won't do it because I know you're inclined to cheat with these things. Look at the boom score and the optimal score on Chetty and Rubio, despite the ownership. That is not, I won't say unprecedented because we've seen it with guys like Drummond in the past, but that is insane.
Yeah, and I had already noticed it. 87% boom percentage on Chetty and Rubio. Just insane. S&P said that Josh is optimal this morning, only had 2 Cavs. I haven't made an optimal, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Josh is out of his mind.
God, okay, so wait, let's back it up for a second. And yes, we're going to spend a decent amount of time on the Cavs. Other teams won't take as long. How many players do we, and I know I'm throwing you some questions that, earlier in the morning, like at this time in the morning, you can't answer them perfectly, but let's kind of work through this. How many players do you think we see in the rotation today?
9.
Right. Like, and they're all dirt cheap.
Yeah, I'm pulling up Fantasy Crunch right now. I want to see what our optimal has because I can't imagine it's only 2.
Like, okay, what if?
Yeah, ours has 4. or 3 or 4, depending on like which one you go with. The actual optimal has 4.
Like, what if we see Robin Lopez start?
Right.
You could, right? Like you could. If Robin Lopez starts at minimum salary, are you not going to have a lot of Robin Lopez?
Yeah, exactly. You have, and if it's not Lopez, you have Diakite at power forward at 3K. Yeah, I mean the optimal lineup using our projections right now has Neto, Chetty, Diakite, Rubio. The next best lineup has Rubio, Chetty, Diakite.
Yeah. Or like Isaiah Mobley.
Right. Like, so if I just crunched the top 100 lineups, no randomness or anything, just using our medium projections, every single one of them has Rubio and Chetty. And then most have at least one other guy.
Right. Of course. I mean, there's just so much value there that across the board. Even, and you had mentioned them, chat mentioned them, how Neto is minimum salary. Like you said, that's another one where that's an interesting game theory subject. And then we can move on from this because I think we have a pretty good idea now. But if Rubio really is like, we're getting closer to lock, Adam, and Rubio's 72% projected still, and Neto's at 25, 26%, is that a spot where you might want to get overweight on Neto as a result?
Yes. But I'm also not convinced that I don't know how much they even negatively correlate here. Like, are they just going to play them alongside each other a good amount? In which case, you just play them both.
I'm not even saying at the expense of Rubio, but maybe just getting more Neto than the field because he's 25%.
Yeah, I mean, I think 25% is definitely reasonable. We have him with a 24% chance of being optimal, 62% boom percentage. Yeah, I wouldn't mind getting over 25%. And I think you can make a case to, maybe just move a little bit of that Rubio ownership to Neto. But, again, the starting lineups can answer so many questions here.
Absolutely.
Or at least, not necessarily answer, but at least, point us in a direction we can feel a little bit better about.
It's also going to massively influence ownership too. Like if one guy we thought was going to start doesn't start, but then he plays 30 minutes off the bench because these weird games happen all the time late in the year where like, all right, he's not starting, his ownership plummets, and then he gets massive minutes, massive run off the bench and ends up being a guy that you needed because there's no necessity to like any of these starters. There's no reason that they all have to play big minutes in a game that they're literally throwing down the drain.
Right. Do you have a guess at the starting lineup?
Okay. If I had to guess, I do think Rubio starts.
Yeah.
Definitely Lamar Stevens, Chetty. I think Chetty starts for sure. I could see Robin Lopez starting this game. It wouldn't shock me if a guy like Lopez starts it. And then like you could see, well, who starts at the 2?
I mean, I think Merrill? It's Chetty.
Okay. So you could see Rubio, Chetty, Stevens, like Wade, and then Lopez.
That's my guess is Rubio, Chetty, Stevens, Wade, and then one of Lopez or Diakite.
Yes. Yeah. Right. Like, I don't think, I mean, maybe Wade starts at the 5. Again, the problem with trying to project this starting lineup is it doesn't mean anything. Like you're not
right,
playing.
That too.
What?
I said, yeah, that too.
Yeah. Like you're not playing for the matchups. So it doesn't mean anything. For all I know, they start 5 point guards, but
right.
That's my guess. We'll see.
I mean, maybe Robin Lopez convinces them to let him run point.
Yeah. What could really be interesting though, is depending on who starts at center, if the backup center's ownership is really low.
Yeah, I was thinking that too, because there's a good chance that, like, even if Lopez starts, there's a good chance you end up with like 20 minutes or so from Diakite. It's still at 3K flat. So yeah, and also Josh was DMing me with what his optimal was. To not be too harsh on Josh, I do think that the optimal in Fantasy Crunch that I was talking about sort of reflects what he was saying too, where they all have Rubio and Chetty, and then there's a very good chance that you're going to end up with a third guy based on who's starting. But like, we're getting a ton of Diakite because we have him projected for 25 fantasy points or 26. If he ends up not starting, that projection's coming down and you're still going to get to him, but not nearly as much. It's still, I would expect by the time you get a starting lineup, by the time you get to lock, that you're getting at least 3 or 4 of these guys.
All right, that's a thorough breakdown. Sometimes it's fun with these teams, like with a team like this. Sometimes it's kind of fun to try and predict what's going to happen with them because it's an absolute mess. And then it's funny because on the other side with Orlando, you just legitimately have nobody on the injury report. Night and day here.
Yeah, very, very different teams.
What do you want to do with the Magic? Obviously, it's a good matchup. Wouldn't normally be against Cleveland, but now it's a good matchup.
Yeah, like I almost like autopiloted into like, oh, the Magic are healthy. They're playing against Cleveland. And I was like, wait a minute, they're playing against
slow-paced team, great defense.
Right.
I mean, I'm gonna fade.
Right. Yeah, they're playing against a bunch of dudes that don't play in NBA rotations. And pricing here is reasonable. They are healthy, but the most expensive guy on Orlando is Banchero at 7,100. Certainly no issues getting there. Carter, Franz Wagner, Fultz all look like pretty good plays, all pulling double-digit ownership, all with optimal percentages right around where their ownership's at. So any of those four, I think, look good. Beyond that, if you end up taking some shots on like a Cole Anthony or a Jalen Suggs, there's at least a path to success for them. But the main four pieces are pretty clearly Banchero, Carter, Franz Wagner, and Fultz.
By the way, wanted to congratulate you on getting up early again today, going out there and enjoying the sunset for 2 days in a row.
Yeah, 2 days in a row. Wasn't as productive today. Haven't worked out yet. Didn't get my baseball article up. We don't have the data and stuff. And I
process though. It's a process.
Yes, yeah.
Some lifestyle changes over there in the Scherer.
Yeah, I felt like weirdly refreshed. I went to bed at like, I don't know, 10, 10:30.
It's sometimes so hard to fall asleep that early, but if you do and then wake up early, it's the best feeling in the world.
Yeah, and I actually forced myself it was nice because I only played one golf lineup this week, but I forgot to make it last night, so I had to wake up and do the lineup. So like, because I was tempted, my alarm went off at like 6:30 or 7 or whatever. I was tempted to just be like, yeah, whatever. I have a show at 10. I'll go back to sleep. But I had to get up, and so it was good. It got me 2 days in a row.
See, DFS is productive for people.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, I remember. I'll never forget though. Are you done with Orlando? So I can say this before. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it in the middle of Orlando. I'll never forget though, during COVID, when you were like legit getting up or staying up till like 5 a.m. to make Korean baseball lineups.
Yeah, that was miserable. My COVID schedule was, because I would play League of Legends at 2, and then I would play KBO at 5, and then I would go to sleep. And I was staying at my mom's house, and so it was just pissing her off so much, like me just sleeping all day.
All day?
She'd want to like get stuff done around the house or whatever, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm going to bed.
Yeah, Mom, people are playing video games and the Koreans are playing baseball. Right. Leave me alone. And the funny thing is you just sleep through all the baseball. Just wake up and see what happens.
Right, yeah. I would finish my lineups. I would turn on ESPN because they would show one of the KBO games, and I would just immediately pass out.
All right. Let's talk about Miami and Philly. The Philly side is going to be interesting. I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on that with them. The top 5 seeds in the East are locked up. Joel Embiid, I mean, it looks like he has the MVP locked up. We talked about that, but at the same time, like if he doesn't play these, whatever, we'll talk about that. Philly is still a 3-point favorite though. Miami is, let me check the standings one more time because they're in 7th, right? So is there some mobility here? Can they get out of the 7? See, I don't really think they can. I mean, they would need, they're a game and a half behind the Nets for 6. So I don't know. It's like, do you think we should be expecting anything? I know this isn't your forte. You don't really look at standings, but this late in the season, we kind of have to. They're 42-37 in the 7, so they'd have the top play-in spot. The Hawks are 41-39, a game and a half behind them. But it's more so the Nets at 44-36 at 1.5 games up on them.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Heat still have 3 games to play, by the way, Adam. Heat still have 3 games. Nets only have 2 games.
Yeah. Using the basketball reference model, they have a 13% chance of getting the 6th seed, 41% chance of staying at 7, 20% chance of falling to 8.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, I think they're still, pre-play-in. So it has them with an 85% chance of being 7, 2% 8, 12%. Yeah, still 13% chance of getting to 6.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm only wondering if, I mean, look, they're going to play their guys today. We know that. I just don't know what Philly's going to do. So And Maxi's questionable. Tucker and Melton, less important, but they're questionable as well. How do you want to target the top end of this Miami team today with Jimmy Butler, Hero, and Bam?
Yeah, so I mean, there's not like a ton to pay up for tonight, so it makes these guys look a little bit better. 8,800 on Butler, certainly fine. 7,600 for Adebayo is not a bad price tag. Should have his hands full, but not a great matchup. But 7,600 is pretty cheap for him. We still have the cheap $6,600 price tag on Hero, so they all look good. And then there's like literally nothing else.
Okay, what do you want to do with the Sixers then? I really don't. We have Joel Embiid at 33% under, like working under the assumption that he's going to be out there today. I do still have that gut feeling that he's going, I'm not taking any chances. And by taking any chances, I mean, he's not taking any chances of losing the MVP, but I think he still has it locked up, but we have him at 33% right now. Any thoughts on this? Again, I know usually you brush off these type of questions, but 5-game slate, I have to get your opinion on what you think the Sixers do tonight with the 3 seed locked up.
Yeah, I mean, I think this one is riskier. Hopefully we get some sort of reporting on it throughout the day, but they are locked into the 3. Last game, Embiid played 39, Maxey played 40, Harden played 40, but that was a game with Boston. I don't know if they were officially locked in before that game or not, but they are now. So, yeah, hopefully we get some sort of reporting. If we don't, I just assume you're getting, at least like mid-30s from these guys, in which case they're going to look really good. But if we get, oh, well, we're just going to limit Harden or limit Embiid, then obviously it changes things.
How do you want to approach them if these guys are in? I mean, I think it honestly makes sense to think Maxey might not play today if he's questionable. Like, why risk a questionable player in a meaningless game? That's what I'm saying.
Like, I could certainly see them take the approach that Tibbs had said he was taking with the Knicks, where he was just like, look, we're trying to go into the playoffs like in a rhythm and playing well, but if guys are banged up, they're not going to play. So I think you could certainly see that here where, but like if Maxey sits, if Melton, if all 3 of the questionable guys sit, then sure, it's opening up some potential value for, Jalen McDaniels, Niang, maybe Korkmaz, guys like that. But if like it's just Maxey out or just Melton out, I don't really think that much opens up that you're really going to like. $5,500 Tobias Harris looks better if Maxey's out, I guess.
And Steven, the top 5 seeds are locked up. That's what I was saying earlier. Like when you're saying Sixers can't get to the second. No, the top 5 seeds are all locked up. There's no movement there whatsoever. By the way, dude, did you see the box score for the Knicks yesterday?
No, but what about it?
Quickly 39, Grimes 36, Toppin 32. Rest of the team had 31 combined.
Oh, points.
Yeah.
I was thinking minutes. I was just no. How does that work?
That's nuts, though. Like the Grimes, Toppin, and Quickly combined for like 120 or something, or whatever it was, like 112, and the rest of the team had 31 combined.
That's insane.
It's crazy. But all right. So, you know what I think could happen here? I think Embiid could play very limited minutes. That's what I really think could happen. So it's like he didn't miss I don't think that's too conspiratorial here. Would it shock you if it's like he's going to play because he wants to make sure he doesn't miss another game, but he plays very limited minutes?
It wouldn't shock me. I think it's so dumb because like you're basically saying, that MVP voters are just absolute idiots and that they can't just
that's what you've been saying,
minutes, but they are absolute idiots and like would treat it differently if he just doesn't play probably. So
it's so dumb. You're right. Like we shouldn't even be having this conversation.
Right. I don't know how to approach this. If I'm assuming Embiid and Harden are in and we don't get Doc Rivers saying that they're going to be limited, I don't know how, like, I just think you have to assume that they're playing 33, 34, but there is obviously risk.
Right. Matisse, is that even a word, Laffy? A real word? What word did I use? I don't know. My assumption is yes, it's a real word. Real word.
Yeah, so I didn't hear you make anything up.
Yeah. Right. Anything else you want to get to with Philly?
No.
Talk about Portland Trailblazers here. Yo, how about the Spurs being favorites right now? 3-point favorites. Portland and the Spurs. All right. Lillard, Grant, Nurkic, Simons, Little, Johnson, all.
Oh, conspiratorial. Yeah, that's a word.
I just said Little Johnson when I was running through them because I went from this. Uh, and Jordan didn't even catch that one. I mean, if anything, that's the one you got to be on.
He's still
dude.
caught up on the virgins.
Yeah, yeah. No, he heard Little Johnson just went, all right. We love you, Jordan. Diable, doubtful. Shaden Sharp, Cam Reddish, questionable. Drew Eubanks, Kevin Knox, probable. Have at it, pal.
Yeah. Depends who's playing. Like if the questionable guys play, Portland actually doesn't look that good. Shaden Sharp's getting 25% ownership because there's not a ton to pay for on this slate, and we'd expect him to play, mid-30s and get all the usage he can. Drew Eubanks projected for 14% ownership. That's perfectly fine at 5,900, assuming he's good to go. Nobody else is getting double digits. Skylar Mays just shy of 10% at 6,400. He should play big minutes as well. But if all these guys are in, prices have adjusted and they do have plenty of bodies, even though they aren't exactly NBA level bodies. But if you have Reddish out and Sharp out and Watford out, then it does open up more minutes. We do have Knox probable, Thibault doubtful, but if those guys are out, then like Skylar Mays is going to look better. Williams probably plays more at 4K, but prices have adjusted. So not as appealing a Portland team, but still a spot where you could have a lot to like depending on who sits.
What do they look like in the boom bust tool right now? Like, is anything popping?
Sharp to some extent. Sharp, 25% chance of being optimal. Mays is at 12%.
Okay. And I'm trying to see if we have any question. Like, we have Watford in.
Yeah, we have the questionable guys in.
Yeah. Man. Jonathan Williams, 4K, 1.9 ownership, 7% optimal. So almost all of these cheaper guys do have positive leverage scores. It's just they're not exactly getting high optimal scores either. So
yeah, it's just because they suck and the prices have come up. It is a good matchup though. But like it's tough today too, because the other day the guys that were questionable were mostly like low usage guys that were going to take minutes. Here it's like a whole extra piece of
Sharp
trying to figure it out because Shaden Sharp is such a high usage, it plays such a big role under the current conditions of this team that if he is out, that's opening up not just the minutes, but you assume Skylar Mays is taking on a bigger role offensively. You assume Kevin Knox is going to shoot more. If Cam Reddish is in, you're seeing a bump for him. If he's out, then obviously you're not. Shaq Harrison could step into quite a few more minutes if Sharp is out. So he's like a whole different piece. The other day, it was just, you had Knox questionable, you had Watford questionable, and it was just, well, mostly like these guys aren't having a huge impact on their teammates like Sharp does.
That would have been great. Yeah. If SMP, if it was all those were questionable and I was like Reddish, Little Johnson questionable, that would have been good. That would have been good. Oh, Sean, shout out to Sean. Sean said that first. All right. What about the Spurs? We have, I'll read this off to you because you have Vassell, Sohan, Graham, McDermott out, Keldon Johnson questionable, Zach Collins probable right now. So there should be some stuff that opens up here, especially if Keldon Johnson sits in this game, which wouldn't shock me at all. We have two guys with 20+% optimal scores. Trey Jones is at 19%, Zach Collins at 20, Keldon Johnson at 23. Look, if we could say one thing about this team, despite how bad they are, they're 3-point favorites for a reason. They're going up against a team that in their current iteration is even worse than they are.
Yeah, well, I mean, this game should be this game's an absolute nightmare from a basketball standpoint, but there is production available and the Spurs are priced reasonably. If you get the questionable guys in, it kind of just looks like a 3-man team with Keldon Johnson, Zach Collins, Trey Jones, all priced between 6,100 and 6,700, all likely to play, enough minutes to matter at least, and all in positions to really produce at a high level. If you start getting guys ruled out, it changes. If Keldon Johnson's out, Trey Jones is going to look better, but you're also going to get a bump for Keta Bates-Diop. Malachi Branham will look better if Keldon Johnson is out. If Collins were to sit, you're probably getting Mamu starting again, but Collins is probable, like you said. Langford matters from a minute standpoint more than anything. But if we assume the questionable guys are in for now, I like Johnson, Collins, and Jones. Not super interested in anything else. Malachi Branham would be the fourth piece for me.
All right, 3 down, 2 to go. Man, it gets weird. It gets weird because you have like a Phoenix team that's totally healthy and a couple other spots that we'll get into. Also, MLB Live Before Lock coming up at noon, baby. 12 Eastern. If you're sticking around playing some baseball, you got Neil Orfield doing the MLB Live Before Lock show. NHL Strategy show at 2 o'clock. Yeah. And then the Odd Shop. It's going to be me. It's going to be Ben. It's always a blast. 4 o'clock on our Odd Shopper, our betting channel, Odd Shopper. Take that straight into Live Before Lock, an NBA deeper dive for tonight. Just go on, make the switch over there. You got Josh and Adam at 5. You got Greg and Neil at 6. Yeah, gonna be fun. Adam gets to talk about this slate twice tonight. Hey, also, I mentioned to you guys earlier, the Bet365 promo. I don't know when they'll take this away. They don't tell us. What I know is they won't be doing this forever. My guess is very soon it'll be gone. It's bet $1 and get $200 in bonus bets. It's a legitimate no-brainer. Colorado, Virginia, New Jersey, and Ohio. Those 4 states, Colorado, New Jersey, Virginia, and Ohio. If you're one of the lucky people that is residing in those states right now, you're getting $200 in bonus bets when you bet $1 at Bet365. You got to use the link in the description. The one in chat, man, that picture of Ben, that's tough, huh?
Yeah, it's rough.
That's tough. Him and Eric. I don't know. That's why, man, we were in Chicago and I go, I'm not doing it.
You didn't do it either? I thought I was the only asshole.
No, I couldn't do it. Couldn't do it.
Yeah, I just hung out in the other room and drank beers while they did it.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you. Like, I try and I'm a team player, you know, but with that, like, look, that's what you get. That's what you get when you do it. You get that from Eric. Or you get Josh going like this.
Right.
I don't need any of that.
Nah.
I don't need any of that. They're giving me shit for it, but let me tell you, you and I made the right decision.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, I didn't realize you hadn't done it either.
I did one picture. It's the one you see right there. I did one. I was like, I'll stand in front of it. I'll do that.
Yeah.
I'll give you a smile.
Yeah, that's one more than I did.
Yeah, I know. But seriously, it's $1 in the 200. Use the link in the description, the one that Jordan put in the chat, either one, right? If you're watching after the fact, description's easier. You sign up. It takes a minute to sign up. Okay. You deposit $10. You take $1 of that $10 and bet it on whatever you want. You do not need to win. If your bet loses, it doesn't matter. So you win, you get paid out on that, and you get $200 in bonus bets. You lose, you still get your $200 in bonus bets. I told you guys the other day, we had the one guy that tweeted us. He's like, this promo's insane. You guys do a lot of good promos. This one's insane. Showed us a screenshot of 1 week window from March 25th to the 31st after getting the promo, after betting $1. He turned it into $1,447 in 1 week. Now, it's not going to happen for everyone. Like, some of you are going to lose your ass and you're going to lose all of these bonus bets. But guess what? At the end of the day, you're down a single dollar. Anyone tells you here, for $1, you get 200. You can turn it into whatever you want. Lose it. Doesn't matter. Turn it into 5 figures. Doesn't matter. You're going to snap. Take that opportunity. And they're like, listen, it's only going to take you 2 minutes in total to do it. Basically $100 a minute. You're not even going to think about that. So yeah, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Have all your friends in neighboring states going, look at this asshole. Look at this asshole. He had an opportunity to turn $1 into 200 and he decided he didn't have 2 minutes in the day to do it. Links in the description, links in chat. Check it out. New Jersey, Ohio, Virginia, Colorado, and soon to be Pennsylvania and Iowa. I'll let you guys know about that. And of course, must be 21 years or older to gamble. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, please call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. All right. OKC and Utah. Oklahoma City Thunder on the road. This is actually still a meaningful game for them, Adam, because Dallas won yesterday. And while OKC holds that tiebreaker over the Mavs, which fucking Luka, I had the over on points. He had 29 after with 2 minutes left in the third, and Kyrie just went nuts. And Luka didn't have a single point in the final 14 minutes.
I was wondering what happened in that fourth quarter because I wasn't paying close attention. So in my DraftKings cash lineup, I swapped from when Tillman got ruled out. I swapped from Jay Huff, Jaylen Brown, and Trae Young to Luka, Aldama, and Johnny Davis. And so once Aldama got hurt, I just stopped paying attention because I was dead. But I saw that Luka had like 50 something at the end of 3 and finished with 55 fantasy points. So I was wondering what had happened.
He tried one like turnaround. It was just a weird looking shot, missed it. attempted another 3 late. He attempted 2 shots in the final quarter. Irving was just raining down threes. He couldn't be stopped.
And Kyrie started really slow, didn't he?
Yeah, real slow. He couldn't be stopped. And then Luka just started deferring to him, which, listen, it was the right move. It was the right move, but it still pissed me off.
Yeah, it sucks for having that bet.
And then we're in the chalkboard app, right? Which is, by the way, hopefully you guys are in there. Almost at 1,200 people. All the picks, everything's free forever, for eternity. It's never going to be like, hey, we're making this paid. No, it's all free. It's been awesome. Greg and I are having a blast in there. Josh is throwing his prize picks in there as well. We're going to have some more people joining in as on top of that too. Just gave out 5 free BetPro monthly memberships the other day. Did some very fun sports trivia. Very fun sports trivia. Links in the description and in chat for that. Like I said, it's free. So we just would love to build a community up. But Adam, he has 29. And this guy, I won't say his name. And I don't want to shame him, although I do. Is like, yeah, Luka's about to hit. And then I told him to chill. And then he goes, nah, it's a win. I'm calling it. Like it's some fucking political race. And he's like, I'm calling it. It's locked up. And then he didn't score another point. I'm just laying there in bed watching the game on my phone, seething at this guy who I've never met in my life.
Yeah, this is why I don't like talking. It just tilts me more. Like I'd rather just be miserable by myself.
Yeah. No, but that was the first occurrence of this. Anyway,
it is better. I'm sure it's much, much better for betting. Like
way better.
The reason like back in the day, I tried not to be in Slack is like you have your guy, like your team's doing shitty, you're losing 100%. Money. And then you have people like bitching about the guys that you were on. It's like, I do not care enough about your money when I'm losing mine to like sympathize with you right now.
Yeah. Or they like post a massive screenshot, which is great. But at the same time, it's like all of the guys, like they avoided all the guys that you had that would have won you money. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's
like DFS.
At least with betting, it's like, you're all like, I don't know how to word it, but like
you're in it together a lot of times.
Yeah.
You're against the house. You're not
right. Exactly.
DFS isn't a zero-sum game in the sense of like, if you win, it doesn't mean I can't win. Right. But it is definitely where your interest is above everything else. Whereas with betting, like you said, you could throw a play out there and you got all these people sweating it together.
Right.
When it wins, you're celebrating it together. When it loses, you know, like when Luka loses and everyone's on Luka, everyone's pissed at Luka and not mad that somebody else lost.
Right, exactly. And like you're all winning the same amount relative to, you know, like what you bet. Whereas like if you're in Slack for DFS and you're all having a good, like let's say everybody's plays are doing well, you're still sitting there like, okay, well, one of us is going to win 100K and one of us is going to get 1K.
Yeah.
And I really do not want you to be the one that gets 100K.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So like I might win 400 on a bet. You might win 1,000 on the same bet, but we're still, it might just be because you wagered more than I did, not because
it's not like, well, there's $5,000 to be won and you're going to get 4,500 and you're going to get 500.
Yeah. All right. OKC. So like I said, this game's actually valuable to them. They're now tied. They're tied in the win and they're tied with the Mavs. They need this game today. 6-point favorites against the Jazz. Anything interesting stand out to you from the Thunder?
I mean, they do need the win. Like you said, they're basically a coin flip now to make the play-in game. Basketball.
Is that what it is now? What's their?
Yeah, Basketball Reference has Oklahoma City 51.5% to get the 10 seed, 48.5% to miss, and then vice versa, essentially for Dallas.
Okay, so it's a coin flip. What do you want to do with the Thunder?
Yeah, so they look good. You know, there's not a lot of pay-ups on the slate, so it makes it a lot easier to get to SGA. He's pulling 33% ownership on DraftKings, 36% chance of being optimal. 10,200 is a very fair price point for him. Right now, you know, I mean, we're assuming Harden and Embiid play since they're not on the injury report, but you can at least feel, I think, more comfortable in the minutes for SGA. You know, barring injury, foul trouble, blowout, you shouldn't have to worry about Mark Dagnall just saying like, oh yeah, we're just randomly going to play SGA 24 minutes today, where that's at least in the range of outcomes for Harden and Embiid, even if it's not the most likely case. So you can, you know, expect 35 plus minutes from SGA. He certainly looks good. It's a good matchup as well. Beyond him, Giddey, Jalen Williams should get plenty of playing time also. They are still priced up a bit from when SGA was missing games, but Giddey still put up 1.2 DraftKings points per minute with SGA this year. Jalen Williams overall is around a fantasy point per minute with SGA in the last couple of months. We've seen him certainly get better as the year has gone on in his rookie year. So at 7K, still don't mind getting there, but SGA is the clear priority. Then I think Giddey, Williams, Dort would be the fourth guy.
It's amazing to see Taylor Horton Tucker, seeing THT at 41% today, but because he is expensive, but I don't know. I kind of get it, right? Like 34% optimal score, not bad when you're getting that much ownership at that price. No Lauri Markkanen, no Colin Sexton, no Jordan Clarkson again. So no Walker Kessler. Not to say that affects him from a usage standpoint, but all of these guys are out again today. And THT has just been, dare I say, dominant lately. Very high.
That's not the word I would use.
I'm talking about from a fantasy.
Yeah, from a fantasy standpoint.
Yeah. Anything I say is not like, this is not the guy you're looking to win you basketball games. But.
No, well, it's funny because like you'll see this once in a while, like on Twitter. But Horton Tucker, like while he is doing like last game, he was having a very good fantasy game. And like I see him just like piling up fantasy points. And then I get on Twitter and I just see multiple Jazz beat writers just like back to back to back. Like, what the hell is Horton Tucker doing? And I'm like, wait, I thought he was playing well, but they're talking about from like an actual basketball standpoint. And I'm just looking at it from he's piling up fantasy points. But yeah, just multiple Utah beat writers just being like, what the hell is this guy doing?
Yeah. Listen, as someone that went through, experienced, and suffered through the Sixers tank, Michael Carter Williams, if someone was just looking at usage and fantasy production, or Tony Roten, they would have been like, man, these guys got to start on a contender. But then you realize it's just because there's literally no one else on the team. They can do whatever the hell they're still professional NBA players. So if you give them all the opportunity in the world, they're going to do something with it. But he has been, and it's not a terrible matchup. All I'm saying is I get why he's popular today.
Yeah, so do I. 1.2 DraftKings points per minute without Clarkson or Markkanen on the floor this year in 515 minutes. 29% usage rate, 51.8% true shooting goes to why the Utah beat writers are losing their minds over Horton Tucker. But from a fantasy standpoint, you don't lose points for missed shots, and he will certainly take a lot of them. 29% assist percentage as well without those guys on the floor. And also, like kind of like we were just saying with Jalen Williams and Josh Giddey, while an $8,100 price tag for Horton Tucker isn't the most favorable price, when you have all those cheap Cleveland guys and then some other, cheap plays as well, it just doesn't matter as much. It's going to be pretty easy to find that salary, even if he's a little bit more expensive than you would like. So favorable positional eligibility as well, 42% ownership, 34% chance of being optimal. He played 32 minutes in regulation last game. You can expect him to play around 30 to 32 most nights. So yeah, he looks good. You have Luka Samanic at 3,900. He got the start last game, only played 22 minutes. But at 3,900, another reasonable value play that's not getting quite as much ownership as some of the Cleveland guys. Olynyk at 6,900 looks fine. Chris Dunn at 5,600 looks fine. Last game, you still got mostly Dunn and Horton Tucker not playing together, but they did close together. They did play overtime together. It's likely that you're just going to see, low to mid 20s from Chris Dunn. At 5,600, though, there is still a ceiling. He's at 1.15 DraftKings points per minute without Clarkson or Markkanen on the floor. If something happens to Horton Tucker, whether it's foul trouble, just getting benched for any reason, then you get more playing time for Dunn as well. So there is some negative correlation there.
All right. Ready to wrap this one up with Denver and Phoenix?
Yep.
Like I said, MLB live before lock at noon, and this is the last day of the 9 for $9 deal too. So 9 days for $9, $1 a day. All of our tools, top stacks, you name it. Top pitchers tool. Those are the two best tools you're going to find for MLB, hands down. Projections, the Data Central tool, everything. Top batters tool, top pitchers, top stacks. MLB Slate Central has everything you need. Ownership projections, player projections, all of it. You name it. We got you covered. Lineup generator. It's $1 a day for 9 days. Today's the last day. Link is in the description. Link is in chat. If you've been looking to dip your toes into the MLB waters and looking for the right opportunity to do it, well, here it is. You're getting $1 a day, 9 days. And if you like it, and if you win, and that is our hope, we hope that you stick around. But like I said, massive discount here. Today's the last day. Jump in, link in chat, and in the description. So yeah, $1 a day for 9 days. Awesome deal. All of our MLB tools, top to bottom. You're not missing out on anything. All right, let's wrap it up here. Denver. This is kind of weird, right? Because who knows what happens with Jokic and what happens with Jamal Murray. They're both officially listed as questionable, but I really don't know what to expect from these guys today.
Yeah, I have absolutely no idea what to expect from this one. You mentioned it earlier, but Denver locked into the 1 seed, so not playing for anything. Last game we saw Jokic play. We saw him be somewhat limited in terms of playing time. He ended up only playing 25 minutes, but they also got crushed by Houston. He lost 5.5 minutes.
Stud, man. I love that guy.
Who?
I love Şengün.
Yeah, so do I. Yeah. Jokic was going to play around 30, 31 minutes last game. That's a little bit below, what he averages, but still, like on this slate, if you guarantee Jokic plays 30, 31 minutes, he's still going to be a reasonable option just because there's so much value. But there is certainly risk that he plays a little bit shorter rotations. There's obviously risk that he doesn't play as well. There's no real reason for him to. Same goes for Murray. So I don't know what to do with this team other than sort of like if Jokic is out and Murray is out, then obviously you're expecting more production for Porter, Gordon, Bruce Brown. Jeff Green plays more. Christian Brown plays more. If Jokic and Murray are in, they're risky because you don't know exactly what the rotations will look like. But, I still would expect around 30 minutes or so, at least if they're in. So there's not a lot you can say right now. I think we sort of just need more updates. But I would expect Denver to err on the side of caution because there's no reason that they shouldn't or wouldn't.
What if Jokic and Zeke Naji are out?
Jeff Green probably starts.
Yeah. That was a weird rotation. The weird one last game. He did start, but that was a weird one last time Jokic sat. It was like Jeff Green played a ton of minutes in the first 3 quarters and then didn't play in the fourth. KCP didn't play in the fourth. And this game was basically tied. Peyton Watson played the full fourth quarter in that game.
Yeah, that was a weird one. Yeah, like in that game, you still got 26 minutes from Jeff Green without him even stepping on the floor in the fourth.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of it. And Murray played 42 as well, so it's not like they were just conceding.
Right.
I don't know. We'll pay attention. That's going to be an important one. Maybe we'll get news throughout the day, but we'll see. All right. Phoenix Suns. This was the end of the road. Phoenix Suns, completely healthy team today, facing a Nuggets team that we don't know what's going to happen with them. Is there anybody? It's only a 5-game slate, so like the Bookers and the Durants and the Pauls and the DeAndre Aytons, are there any just say like good tournament spots here?
Yeah, just because Booker and Durant both give you that raw point upside. Durant's salary came up a little bit to 9,300, but once again, last game we saw 34 minutes from him. He sat the final 3 minutes in garbage time. Phoenix has everything locked up. We don't know what they're going to do minutes wise, but you would kind of think that they want to get more playing time with these main guys since Durant missed so much time after the trade. You do want, to make sure that Durant, Booker, Paul, Ayton are all on the same page. So maybe you do get a little bit, maybe the playing time's a little bit safer for them. There's at least that narrative working in their favor, but 9,500 for Booker, 9,300 for Durant. They both clearly have very, very high ceilings. So they're getting low double-digit ownership. I think that makes sense. If you get to a little bit of Chris Paul, that's fine. DeAndre Ayton's still very cheap at 6,500. The problem is that he has taken a decent step back with Kevin Durant there. We have seen the usage rate start to come up since Durant returned. And through the first few games where Durant was there, Ayton had like a 12.5% usage rate. And it was pretty safe to assume that it wasn't going to stay that low, but it's probably going to come in lower than the low to mid 20s that it was earlier in the year. And you've seen that be the case since Durant came back. So any of those main 4 guys in tournaments, I think, are pretty solid contrarian plays, not priorities overall, though.
All right. So right now, just to sum this up, gonna likely be a lot of Cleveland. That's the first game of the slate. It's the only 7 o'clock tip. So that should be helpful to have the lineup. And then I still think we should be paying attention to what Philly does. We're still waiting on Portland and the Spurs. And then we're still waiting on Denver too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so what I think we can say with confidence right now from like a overview standpoint is Cleveland is where you're getting a lot of your value from.
Yes.
Who exactly you're prioritizing is dependent on who is starting, but they have an entire team sub 4K playing big minutes. That's where you're getting a lot of value from. SGA is going to look like the top pay up option because he is reasonably priced, but also he's the only pay up option that his team is still playing for something. Talen Horton-Tucker is going to look very good. Utah is sort of, I mean, Utah's out of it, but they have like a sub 1% chance of making it, but they're missing Markkanen, Clarkson, Sexton. So Horton-Tucker is going to look very good. Then, like everybody else starts like Banchero, Harden, Embiid. Those guys are fine, but I think that Cleveland guys plus SGA is basically like where you would be starting a cash lineup, for example.
Hey, follow Adam at Ship My Money DFS, me at Lafayette_D. Remember, last day for 9-9 baseball. All the links to everything are in the description. Bet365, you're in Colorado, New Jersey, Virginia, Ohio. You're getting $1 in the 200. And our chalkboard app, all of our picks, all the conversation, everything free 100% of the time. We'd love to have you come join us. That's down there as well. Appreciate you guys hanging out on another wild NBA slate. See you back here tomorrow. I'm off tomorrow. It's going to be Josh and Adam for dude, I think you got like 12 games on April 7th. So yeah, buckle up.
I'm filling in on the Sunday show also. So looking forward to that.
Oh, nice. You're filling in for me. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. 15 games. That should be good, but
yeah,
whatever. You'll be able to take that one kind of easily. Like, what are you really going to do what can you really do for that?
Right.
Appreciate you guys. We'll see you back here soon. And by the way, last thing, if you forgot to hit the like, we're at 87. I get it. Less intense day as far as viewership goes. 5 games Thursday, end of season, got baseball. But now we need 12. So before you go, tap that like, get us up over 100. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Peace.